The numbers killed in Israel and Gaza in the past week have highlighted the plight of many innocent Palestinians and Israelis caught up in a conflict between their two governments. Some victims' families in the region continue to fight, not for violence, but for reconciliation.
10 years ago, Mazen Faraj's father was killed by an Israeli soldier. In the same year, Robi Damelin's son David was shot dead by a Palestinian sniper. They're both now members of the Parents' Circle, a forum for bereaved families of Palestinians and Israelis. And welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Mazen Faraj must be particularly difficult coming with a message of reconciliation at this time when fighting is going on back home.
It's not easy actually all my life as someone who just born and grew up in the Hesh refugee camp. It's close to Bethlehem, and it's not easy also for me to all my life with them. I'm looking for the normal life and the normal situation, which is I was spending all my life as a kid, and until now looking for my rights and my freedom and my justice. And more than that, after the loss of my father, it's happened and it's grow the problem and the tragedy more and more inside myself and with my head. But actually this is the time with the violence, with the war, with the conflict, all of us, we should announce it, and all of us, we should express ourselves to stop this violence and to stop this war. And we need it as a human being to live as a human being. And we needed to look for a solution for this conflict. And today, more than ever, we should really find a solution for this conflict, because it's really strange to keep this conflict more than 64 or 65 years until now, and all the international community just looking, and all the international community support one to another, and most of them, and all of them, they should really support and find the peace and the solution for this
Robi,
conflict.
do you see any sign of that?
Well, the thing is that we just continue the cycle of violence. This is the result of the killing, and it just goes on and on. And all the time, all the day, I've been thinking about the children in Sderot and the children in Gaza who are the pawns of these politicians who continue with this useless, nobody can win this war. It's just more broken hearts. And so what can we do as an organization of Palestinians and Israelis? We work together all the time on the ground to be an example, because if I can sit next to Mazen and he can sit next to me and we can talk in one voice for reconciliation, then surely it's time that the leaders will talk to each other from another point of view, not of being right all the time, because they're not succeeding.
You say it's time, but how hopeful are you that after so many years and so many different attempts by different people, by different leaders from all around the world to try to bring some kind of solution to this conflict, do you think it's a solution you will ever see in your lifetime?
Well, why would I do this work if I didn't believe that we could change? You know, a miracle happened in South Africa, where I come from originally. If you would have told me when I came to live in Israel in 1967 that blacks and whites would sit together in a pragmatic way, I would have said you were mad. And so I think that miracle can happen for us. And the work that we do on the ground with Palestinians makes it very clear to me that the pain I have and the pain of a Palestinian mother is exactly the same. And we can really work together to make change.
You know, this is actually the problem, sorry to say that. This is actually our problem as a human being, where we can put our fears and anger and suffering and pain. And this is actually the most important question for everyone, how to deal with your anger, and how every day in the morning you wake up and you have to start again and again, over and over, all this, as we call it, nothing normal anymore in this situation.
But are you saying that you don't believe that the actions being taken on the Palestinian side, the people firing the rockets, or on the Israeli side, the military response, actually reflects the view of ordinary people, the mass population on either side?
Actually, all what we're doing in the ground is really to affect and to spread our message, to let the people to really to understand. But the minute that you have more than 65 years again, the conflict, you should solve the conflict, and you should also look for the reason for this conflict and for everything. The reason behind is obvious and is there. And all the people, everyone he sit on his side, he just said, I'm right about my rights and my everything.
You are clearly two very remarkable people who've dealt with your tragedies in a remarkable way. I'm just trying to say whether you feel that you've got support.
I get what you're saying, and I
community.
actually think that the trouble with these kind of actions is it creates more hatred, and that hatred will be expressed in the ballot box. And you will find that the radical parties on the right of both sides will get much more will win by a much greater majority. And that's the saddest part of all of this. It doesn't solve anything. Nothing will happen now except that people will take that hatred and throw it in the ballot box, and we have elections in 2 months. I'm pretty cynical about what will happen there.
What do you think of the current leadership of Benjamin Netanyahu and of Mahmoud Abbas for the Palestinians? Do you have any confidence that these two people have the strength to bring some kind of resolution?
You know, miracles happen. I have to say that I think we need an emotional breakthrough, both in Israel and in Palestine, something like when Sadat came to Israel. Because if that doesn't happen, I can't see the current leaders have a ballot to even do it. But that doesn't mean we give up hope.
What about, sorry, I was just going to ask Mazen about, what's your feeling about President Obama? When he first came to power over 4 years ago, there was a great deal of hope that he was really going to do something. That hope hasn't been borne out in the last 4 years. Do you think now he hasn't got the fear of another election hanging over him? The next 4 years might bring something different?
I wish that, actually, and I'm waiting for that to have this change come through and this dream come true, actually. But actually, from my experience and for all of us as Palestinians, as experience, more than 64 years, we just waiting for the promises from the international community. And we also, all the time, they just promises us it will be the justice and all the time. But today, what I feel as a Palestinian also, there is a big difference between justice and just us. And this is actually what we look for, the justice. And I wish that Obama or anyone around the world that he can help to find the solution for this conflict.
David Cameron at Question Time today, he quoted President Obama saying that we, as in the rest of the world, can't hope for peace more than the people in Palestine and Israel. Is there, do you think, a change in the mood, a move in your direction, if you like, towards reconciliation or not?
Nothing can change what I believe, because this is a mission. I don't just run around the world talking for fun. You know, I really and honestly believe with all my heart that if we don't go through some process and if we don't get out of the occupied territories, we can't end this. And being in the occupied territories is ruining the moral fiber of Israel.
Oh.
I think most of the things that I believe that the peace agreement in the future and the reconciliation process should be there between the people, because actually we failed in the first peace agreement, which was Oslo. It was because it was between the both leaders, not between the both nations. I'm sure that about the movement, the grassroots movement from the ground to top, to really to let the people to more involved in this peace agreement and the solution for the future.
Well, it is true that we had political agreements, but we've never had a reconciliation process, so it's always been a ceasefire, as there will be now. We will have a ceasefire until the next time.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you very much.
Now, coming up, we're going to be crossing live to Stamford Bridge, where the hunt